Welcome back to Women Off-Road Warriors. We're here to talk all things off-road, adventure, and fierce women in the Jeep world. I'm April, and joining me is my amazing co-host, Lily.
Hi.
And Christy is off tonight spending time with family, but also joining us is a special treat. We have Brooke Hawkins, aka Bad and Bougie, and she's got not just one, not two, but three Jeep builds, and she just got back from Mopar Heaven, where she showcased her newest build for the first time. So we're gonna dive into all things Jeep and much more. Welcome to the show, Brooke.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here, especially with a couple of my favorite ladies, minus Chrissy,
Yes,
my
I know.
renegade girls.
We'll miss her for sure tonight, but before we get started, it's time to spill the tea.
I feel obligated to go get some tea now. I have some.
Hey,
You'll have to
It
have
took
a little
me-
after.
it took me 3 podcasts to finally get a tea with.
Mine was like a wine glass, so let's pretend, or an espresso martini glass.
Yeah, the
That's
first
usually
couple, I think Lily had a water bottle at least, maybe.
Yeah.
It takes
Well,
a
this
little
is my
bit.
favorite part.
I
I love
know,
spilling the tea.
right?
Let's do this.
Well, so since we met last night as well, you go, Bad and Bougie. Tell us about your fantastic week, I guess. Not off-road, maybe. Maybe not Mopar Heaven just yet. Anything else?
Jeep trouble? Does that count?
Yes,
And
it does
Jeep
count.
trouble?
Yes, Jeep
Anything.
trouble.
Gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, as I was in Mopar Heaven, I was at Texas Motor Speedway and making my way back. And anybody that knows me knows that I trailer my Jeeps everywhere for the most part. I hate driving. And on my way back, I got to Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and was slowing down to get gas. And I went to go turn in, and like my Jeep lunged forward. I'm like, what the heck is going on? And then my check engine light immediately came on. I'm like, oh, great. What is it? I'm like, I'm by myself, traveling alone. I'm like, it's an 18-hour drive total for me without stopping. So, and I'm like, none of my tools are with me because I'm doing beginner's luck over here. And I noticed that my Jeep won't shift in and out of gear. What the heck is going on? And I noticed that my vacuum hose for my differential was popped out. And I'm like, that has nothing to do with shifting. So I popped it back in, and then all of a sudden I could shift again. Well, long story short, finally got to Pensacola. RPMs have been all over the place. I can hardly shift in and out of gear. Thinking the transmission is going out of the Baddie Mobile. We're going to keep the fingers crossed that it is not. But that is the tea from me and that particular build. There's a lot going on in my life right now that I'm just like, where's the good? Where's the good? Lots of craziness.
There's definitely a lot going on.
I
We
wish
can't
I had
even
something
keep
better.
up
I had
with you.
tacos. Today was
Tacos
Taco
is good.
Tuesday, so
Taco
I'm happy
Tuesday.
there. That's some
Hey,
tea
that
right
should be
there.
a thing for us. Maybe instead of spill the tea, we can have spill the tea and Taco Tuesday. Just eat tacos on the
margaritas.
show, right?
Margaritas too.
I'm
I
always
like
happy
it.
when I'm eating tacos too.
Same. Some
Girl.
queso
I'm
and
a
some
whole different
chips.
person.
I like it. Well, before we dive into your Jeep builds, let's talk about you, Brooke. Beyond off-roading, you're also a mom, balancing life, work, and adventure. How do you juggle it all?
I don't know. I think I operate off of chaos. For me, I can't have a moment of downtime. I think anybody that follows me on Instagram knows I love to post my backyard. I love my pool. It's my own little personal oasis. It's the party spot, if you will. And I can't even have like a chill Sunday where I'm not traveling, for events or, shows or, something that my kids have me dedicated to. I can't even sit down and just enjoy my pool on a Sunday. I'll be laying there for like 15 or 20 minutes. I'm like, all right, I'm up. What are we doing? I can't just be sitting. And so for me, I think I just operate off of pure chaos all the time. And I think that's just how it keeps me going. I feel like there has to be some sort of purpose to my day, whether that's in my professional career or as a mom or working on my vehicles and getting better at, whatever it is that I'm trying to, progress in from, my builds or in the motorsport industry. You don't get anywhere by sleeping, and I'm a firm believer in that. And so I've just I have a lot of calendars and reminders that pop up on my phone, but I often dismiss them. I totally ignore them 99.9% of the time. But it's just one of those things where I can't just operate off of downtime because I'm usually sitting there thinking, okay, what could I be doing? Or what should I be doing rather than just sitting here? Sometimes it's hard to operate that like that because then I'm like, I'm always go, 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 go. And then sometimes I dismiss some other things, but it's all about, prioritizing as well. There's things that you do have to get done, but those aren't nearly as important as, for instance, my kids were in a car accident on Friday and everything took precedence right there. Like everything else did
Right.
not matter. I was in Texas when it happened, and I was ready to drop everything that I had worked the last, month and a half, 2 months for to just leave. Their father's like, don't come. We're fine. Everything is okay. I have it handled. And I'm over there trying to play lawyer. I'm like, get their phone number, get this, get this, get this. And I'm at an event. And he's like, I got it. Chill. It's fine.
Wow.
So it's one of those things where you want to be superwoman all the time
Right.
too. And be, just be present and be there all the time. But you can't always be. And I've come to realize that as well. You can't be 100% all the time, but you sure as hell can try and do that as long as you give it your best.
Right. Definitely get that
Yeah.
as a mom. And you will drop everything. Family definitely comes first.
Oh, especially when I'm like literally getting ready to do like my first practice round and like your heart just sinks when you hear
Yes.
those words.
Yes.
Not a good feeling. But
It's
all is
crazy.
well, everything's okay. Our Suburban is probably totaled, but that's nothing in comparison to the lives of my 3 boys and their
Of course.
father.
Of course.
So can't
Yeah.
compare.
Well, it's crazy because we see you out there, doing your reels or racing and building. We don't see what's going on behind doors. We don't see what's going on in your personal life. We don't see because usually, like, I don't share. Like, I usually don't share my kids online. Like, nobody knows what's going on. Other people don't know, or they didn't know before because now I share more often that I'm a mom. There, people don't know that you're a mom either, and they don't understand. They just see you as, oh, this pretty girl here,
Yep.
on the
They think
internet.
perception is reality, and that's not always the case. I try to involve my children in this as much as I possibly can. They like making silly reels with me. I've been dabbling in the TikTok, arena a little bit because I'm like, if I already have a reel here, I might as well post it on TikTok too. And it's funny because a few weeks ago, my middle son, he comes up to me, he goes, "Hey, Miss Baddie," and I'm like, "Excuse me?" He goes, "I saw you on TikTok." I'm like, "Oh my God." He's like, "How come you didn't put our reel on TikTok?" Because last year I made an easy 4x4 cart reel with him. So now I feel like I got to go back and post that to TikTok
Most
because
definitely.
That's
they
so
love
cute.
doing this silly stuff with me. And so if I find an audio or I think of a reel where I'm like, oh, I could involve them, then I try to. But for the most part, like you said, Lily, I try to keep that part of my life private, not because I'm trying to hide anything, but
Right.
at the same time, the internet is a scary place.
It
And
is.
I don't need everybody knowing my personal business. And, I don't have hundreds of thousands of followers, but I tell you what, being at Mopar Heaven this weekend and the number of people that knew who I was and came out just to support me, I just think in the back of my head, who else is watching? And, while I would think as a woman and, all three of us being women on this podcast, I would want to hope that everybody has the best intentions and everybody is a good person, but that's just not always
Yeah.
the case. And so I try to be very cognizant of that too, because believe me, my kids are cool as shit. I'm a boy mom, and a lot of people are shocked by that. And I want to share them with the world, but the world doesn't always need that. So
Of
No,
course.
and it
Yeah.
only takes one person to mess up anything. So, and you're right, you go to shows and people come out of the woodworks that you've never met or never even heard of, and they're like, "Oh, I drove 3 hours away just to come see you," and you're like,
it's flattering,
so
but at the same time,
right.
it's like,
It does make you take a step back and say, okay, exactly. You don't want to give too much away. So, you keep your personal life personal and or your private life private. So, yeah, I totally
Yeah.
understand what you're saying there.
After being 4 years on the industry, like on social media, I remember I wanted to share a lot because I was just really excited. I always wanted to share a lot, but there's way too much people out there. They're getting to things that they're not their business. right? And it's like,
Yes.
I learned hard way. It's like, there's some things that they just for me and my family, and I just want to keep private. And there's some things that you see. One picture that you post, it doesn't reflect what's going on in your real life. Like, just one picture doesn't show everything that you're doing or everything you're
Right.
going through either. So, but
Yep, exactly.
Brooke, I know you kind of explain us a little bit, but if you have to describe a day in your life, how would you describe it since the moment that you wake up?
What's a good word? I can think of a lot of them, like chaotic, busy, spontaneous. If it's a work day, I get up, get myself around, go to work. I work in corporate America, so I don't get to dress like a straight G all the time. I wish that was the case. But working in corporate America is it's different. It's not for the faint of heart, especially in my position. I'm super externally facing. It's funny because on my professional side, I'm a public speaker by trade. You will find me in Washington, D.C., advocating on Capitol Hill, helping write policies. I'm very, very, very driven, and I'm very well known in that part of my industry, working with the Department of Defense, our military families, and military spouses. That's my background, and that's my wheelhouse. So I'm very well known in that arena. And so it's funny when somebody will come up to me like, "Oh, I follow you," and I'm like, and I'm at a work function, and I'm like, "Where? Well, how do you know me?" And I'm like, "Please be LinkedIn. Please be LinkedIn." I'm a LinkedIn top voice. And so I have a lot of followers on LinkedIn from a professional perspective. But that is a whole chaotic world in and of itself. It's not just a 40-hour work week for me. I think a lot of people see me traveling for work too, whether I'm in New York or DC and sometimes I'm in Chicago. And then, you come home and you want to sit down, but you can't because I got to cook dinner. I got to help with homework. I got to clean up. I don't really know when I wind down. I look at the clock and I'm like, God, Coda, you guys need to go to bed. Like, I just need like 5 minutes just to husa. But I find a lot of time in the evenings that now that the days are getting longer and the weather's getting warmer, my kids are always out by the pool and I have a greenhouse. So I'm a big plant collector for those that may not know. So much so I have an umbrella insurance policy over my plants. That's how serious I take it. I love my plants. I have a green thumb. And I'll be out in my greenhouse, just plucking, cleaning, watering.
Did not know that
Whatever.
about you.
And
I know a
that's
lot, but I
awesome.
didn't know that. That
I
is
love
awesome.
it. It's such a wholesome moment for me
It
because
is.
I don't think about anything. My kids are out there living their best life, enjoying life, and I'm just in there in my greenhouse, happy as can be. And I love it too this time of year. It may be silly, and I've posted about this in my stories in the past, but we have a butterfly garden. And here in Florida, the monarchs are very, 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 very strong. And at any given time, I'll have 3, 4, sometimes 500 cocoons and caterpillars, and we have big milkweed. And so we raise butterflies and we take it super seriously. Like, we have netting to protect the cocoons, and we help release them. And we get so many of them and it gets out of control that I have to collect all of them and take them to the elementary school with them. And I'm like, please
Wow.
raise these because I don't have time to. I don't want the wasps to get them. But yeah, that's you find stress relief through other avenues, and whether it's working on cars or making stupid reels that I think I'm funny and maybe other people don't, or going out into the yard and just I'm the one cutting down my palm tree leaves and laying mulch, and I love that stuff. So when I say that I can't sit down, like, I genuinely cannot sit down.
Yeah, I get
Ever.
that. Yeah, your reels have been really, really good lately. Not that they haven't always been good, but my favorite one was the storybook one.
I love that
I
one.
loved
loved
that. I
that
I
one.
got the book right
You
here,
do?
actually.
Oh, you got to
I
show
wanted to
it.
ask you, Brooke, you
That
could definitely
was
publish that and sell it. And
yes.
Somebody thought it was a real book. And
You
so
need to.
I'm thinking about writing. So somebody did approach me and they said, "Did you write that?" And I said, "Yeah, I had like a little bit of a play like in mind of what I wanted to do, and I just kind of altered it a little bit to, match the burnout pit and like the release." I was like, "Oh, it'd be a good play up to like the reel Dan and I made for the reveal of the Burnout Baddie." And somebody was like, Well, if that is something that you would like to seriously consider as far as like children's books, please let us know because we may be interested. We think that may be something. And I'm like, oh my, what the hell is happening right now?
Agree. I loved it.
So
I
I think there
definitely
may
agree.
be like a little baddie motorsport book in the works. I don't
Please
know.
do it. Please do it. That would be
I
so
think it would
cool.
be fun. Oh my gosh. And like that kind
You
of
should
plays on to
definitely do
like,
it.
Yes.
yeah, it plays on to like what happened this weekend at Mopar Heaven. The little girls that came up to
I
me
saw a
and the
couple
little
pictures.
boys.
Yes.
Yes. And yeah, this little girl posted on Instagram. She was probably my son's age. I was bawling my eyes out because this is why I do this.
Yes.
And we can get into that a little bit later. But like,
I
yeah,
love it.
this was fun. I had so much fun doing that. And I made it at Walgreens really fast. But it has all the pictures from my little concept photo.
Yeah, I don't think you didn't show us
It's
the
perfect.
pictures, right, on the reel.
It was
I want to see it.
perfect.
No, I was just the book. But I just did I wrote a small little blurb and then, but for the most part, it's just like pictures of my Jeep. And
I
then
see.
what I did was I just threw it, I put it on my, the hood of my car. So if anybody wanted to see pictures
That's a
or
good
whatever.
idea.
Oh,
But
I love
it's the
it.
beginner's guide
I
on
love
how to
it.
be a baddie, and it's part 1. So there might be a part
love
2
it.
or
Love how
3.
There
it
needs
says
to be a
Baddie
part.
like Barbie in the
Yes.
colors.
Yes, me too.
Yes, I found that font and I'm like, oh, this is perfect.
Very, very cool. So inspiring. What advice would you give to other women trying to balance their love for adventure with family life?
You hit the nail on the head with the word balance. I do this not because how do I put this? I need this. I need this for my own personal growth. I feel like we all become masters at something at some point in our life, whether it's making our favorite food or building one particular piece of furniture or growing a certain plant. You've mastered that craft and that art. You always want to progress and do something to be better. And that's kind of where it started for me. I have been in the motorsport industry almost my entire life. And I took a very short break when I had kids because I felt like that was the adult thing to do and the right thing to do. And during that time, I still had my JK, best Jeep on the face of this earth. But I felt like a part of me was missing. Like I was pretending to be somebody that I wasn't. And that person was just a mom that only did mom things and go to work every day. And that's not me.
Yeah.
I want to have hobbies outside of plants. I want to meet people. I want to do things. And when COVID hit, that was a big icebreaker for me, not only from a progressive standpoint of like wanting to get back into the automotive industry, but mentally. I was in a really, really, really bad place. And it hit me that I needed to find pleasure in something besides being a mother. And I'm not afraid to say that. Being a mom is hard, and there's no manual or instruction guide on being the best mom, but you can try to be the best mom that you can possibly can be. You're not always going to have the right answers. You're not always going to hit the nail on the head every single time, and you're going to mess up. And, when you mess up, you're going to beat yourself up and could have done better. But sometimes you need a distraction from that. I am okay to say that I'm not just a mom. Being a mom is something I take very, very seriously and that I'm very, very proud of. And I'm raising men. I also need time for myself. I need to be the best version of myself mentally, physically, and emotionally to be the best mom, to be the best employee, to be the best significant other, to be the best focused person on the trails or in the burnout Jeep and making the right decisions and working as a team. I can't be my best collective self for other people if I don't take care of myself first. And so finding that balance in a hobby, whether it's social media and creating reels or creating YouTube content or whatever that may be, or just building a car or fixing a car. If you find peace and it allows you to alleviate stress and take your mind from one place to the other, it doesn't matter what that looks like. As long as it's doing that for you, nobody else has to understand it. And you don't have to explain it to anybody either. And I think that's what I found so important through this journey thus far. I've been on Instagram for 18 months now, and never in my wildest dreams did I think that I would be sitting here talking to you ladies on a podcast or having Dodge Garage come up to me and say, hey, we need to sit down and have a conversation. Or, any of these, I look at my Baddie Mobile rebuild. I have some of the top names in the aftermarket off-roading industry on that vehicle and on my Burnout Jeep and on the Beach Baddie. And I think to myself, like, these people trust me because I trusted myself, and that's important. And if you can instill trust in yourself and have that, have that value, you can do anything. So that's kind of like my advice.
I love it. A big aha moment. I can definitely relate. And it was during COVID for me as well. So another story for another time, but I feel you on that.
It was a very rough time. It was, a lot of people, they see me now, but COVID, I was about 115 pounds heavier than what I am now.
Oh, wow.
It was a lot of self-reflection of a lot of very dark times. And there's a lot of people that did that. I was a professional power lifter. I was a college athlete. I was a mom of 2 boys and a newborn. And so there was a lot going on. And I tell you what, slowly getting back into, I bought a new Jeep around that time. I said, I'm not going off-roading. I'm just going to get another new Jeep. But I didn't really have much of an option because that's when the used market was such a hot commodity. And so I just bought another Jeep. I'm like, it's going to be the Mobile, but we're still going to keep the Wrangler theme. But then, everything started progressing from there. And then, 3 years later, I made my Instagram, and here we are. Everything happens for a reason.
Very
I'm
inspiring.
a firm believer in that. Firm believer.
That's awesome. I love that you because I feel like all of us as moms, before we become moms, we were somebody else. We had hobbies, we had jobs, we were going to school, we had a life, and then you become a mom, and all of a sudden there's this little creature that depends on you 100% of the time, and it's only you. Even if there's a dad involved, it's mostly mom. And I feel like we don't realize that after that happens, like, we still need to try to continue to be ourselves and continue to live our lives. Because, like, if you don't, like, you can't really give the best of you to your child. So, and I feel like we realize that later on after. And it's hard. It's hard to try to continue to be yourself after you become a mom and you go through all the changes you go through.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we tend to put other people first before ourselves. And
almost, yeah.
you're not selfish to put yourself first. We should be putting ourselves first because, again,
We're taking care of everybody.
Yes, 100%. It goes back to what I said earlier. We cannot be the best mothers. We cannot be the best spouses or significant others or employees or people that are really depending on us. We cannot be the best versions of those roles if we're not taking care of ourselves. And, it's nobody else's business, what, like we said, behind closed doors, if we don't feel like sharing that. But however we decide to manage that, so we can put on this facade that my life is so perfect. And I can tell you right now, anybody that's listening, it's far from it. It is so far from it. And I have the most trials and tribulations of the next person. I find peace and healing through humor and creativity. And Instagram is exactly that for me. I love it. I mean, having worked with Dan, which is Arctic Mojave, for anybody that doesn't know, he is the social media guy and content creator for Ernie's Custom Shop. He and I have known each other for quite some time now, but we've been obviously working very closely more recently. And it's so fun working with him because he listens to my ideas and, like, we can just be creative with each other and be able to go back and forth and be able to put that on display for other people. And, it may not hit and it may not get millions of views, but I tell you what, I've been watching this stupid reel with this book over and over again. And I just smile. It just, because I see how happy that I am. And that's all that matters. Because my kids are happy
watching it. It's my favorite. Really nicely done.
I love the dress.
It's just perfection.
Thank you.
Everything.
I think I think it's a great mix of my personality.
Yes.
Like I have this very girly side. Anybody that's ever seen the inside of my closet, top to wall with designer shoes and clothes and purses, but you better believe I got rubber in my hair, guys. And that's okay. You can do both. And that's another thing that I would add. You can do both. You can do all three. You know, you can do whatever it is that you want to put your mind to. You don't have to play a one character in a game. You don't. That's why these video games have different skins that you can buy. You can put on different costumes if you want to dress like this one day and then I'll be in a dress the next. It's however you want to
Exactly.
feel and however you want to be. That's you. It's all you.
I was just telling my little girl earlier, she's 9 years old, one of them, because I got her this super cute outfit, a skirt, it's pink, and a jacket, and says Barbie. And the jacket is black with white, and it's super cute. And then she barely ever wears it. She only wears it like 2 times. And I was like, you're going to grow out of it. You should wear it to school. And she's like, no, she just wear it whenever I go out. It's like, no, like wear the best clothes you have every day.
Yes.
Like you only have so
Or
many
just save
days.
them.
Yes, I'll
Yeah.
save them.
No, don't save them at all whatsoever. That's why I try not to hold back. Like, I have so many cute clothes, and then I always find myself wearing the same exact thing. And I'm like, why? Just wear it. Wear the outfit. Who cares what anybody says? If you're comfortable in it, you flaunt it.
Yeah. Oh, let's talk about your Jeeps. Like all of them, the three of them. Let's see what's going on. What's the new mods we have on for them? Modifications, anything? What they have on? What you're proud of?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll start with the Baddie Mobile. The Baddie Mobile is my yellow Jeep. That started as Bad and Bougie, but then like I kind of turned into Bad and Bougie. Like that's what people call me now. So I think I was on a Instagram live or I did a story or something. I referred to it as the Baddie Mobile, like the Batmobile. And somebody said, I like that. I'm like, you know what? Damn, me too. That's what we're going to call it. It's the Baddie Mobile. So the Baddie Mobile underwent some plastic surgery back in November after SEMA. We had some really, really, really good connections that I was able to make out in Vegas. And it all started with Steer Smart Steering. One thing I've learned is that a lot of the aftermarket industry and the off-roading industry is like in the Detroit, Michigan area, Chicago, Wisconsin, Indiana area, and then you have California and Arizona. It's like there's nothing anywhere else in between. So I spend a lot of time in Detroit and in Michigan. I'm from Ohio naturally, and so I built a lot of really good connections over the past several months. So it started with Steer Smarts. And then TerraFlex had reached out and they said, oh, hey, you have a 4xe. We built a 4xe kit. We would really like to be able to get it onto a vehicle that's, obviously there's nothing boring about the Baddie Mobile. It's very bright and vibrant. And once those two connections were made, I was like, well, we might as well help rebuild the whole damn thing now. I have a complete Steer Smarts, all of their components. If you open up their magazine, I have everything from the tie rod, you name it. And then the TerraFlex, I have a 4.5-inch lift. And it's specifically for the 4xe kit or for the 4xe because these vehicles are very heavy. They're about 1,200 pounds heavier with that battery. So they need specific coils so they're not warping. And then as far as the axles go, so I kept my stock axles because with the 4xe, they come with Dana 44s. I'm like, I don't need 60s. I'm not out at Moab as frequently as I'd like to be. And I'm not really crawling. And I live in Florida. We have swamps and mud and forestry, and that's about it. So if I get up to Wind Rock or the Gulches, that's a different story. I'd still be able to manage. So I kept my Dana 44s, and then Revolution Gear and Axle came in clutch with the 513 gears. So I put 513 gears in the front and the back. And then Eaton Performance came in with the rear e-locker. So it's a limited slip locker that is automatic. You don't have to turn on and off. If it feels it slipping, it kicks in on. So it's really nice because there's nothing to do. It figures its components out on the own. So I actually shared a story earlier from I think it was Eaton Performance talking about the different types of lockers. And so I put the E-locker on the rear because I don't really need it in the front. So Revolution, Eaton, and then Fittipaldi. I have simulated bead locks. They're FT101 series. I did the pink rim. I had to do the pink rim. I went from a 20-inch rim down to a 17 because I wanted more rubber. And with that, everybody knows how much I love my Cosmo tires. Like they're my favorite. They're are my big tire sponsor for the Burnout Baddie. But I wanted a beefier tire. And right now they don't offer a 40-inch tire. And with the clearance that I had, so I did a 4.5-inch lift, and then I have an 1.5-inch body lift. So I'm pretty up. I'm high up there to say
Yeah,
the
you
least.
are.
And so I have a lot of room to play with. And I was like, I really don't want to leave 37s on. So I beefed up to 40s. I got Toyo Open Country tees, which I love. I think they're a great tire. But I don't know. I feel like I need to go to 42s now. I don't know. We'll see. I hope Ernie is not going to listen to this podcast because he's probably sick of me. I keep trying to pull down, Ernie's shop. He's very, very successful aftermarket shop, and there's tires everywhere. And I'm like, I see those 42s. Every time I go in the shop, I'm like, can we put them on? He goes, Brooke, stop it. I'm like, okay, well, maybe next week.
That's
So,
amazing work.
we'll
Yeah.
see.
So Cosmo
Maybe
tires don't run 40s.
Not yet, no. So they were going to, but I tell you what, the production of a tire mold is so expensive. And they hand make, or they hand design and draw every aspect and tread of the tire. And so yeah, those molds, they're like around $100,000 just to have the mold made. They're super expensive.
Yeah, that's
It made
crazy.
me appreciate the tire industry, because you
Right.
just think, oh, rubber, it's poured into a thing and that's it. Well, there's so much more beyond that. But so yeah, I decided to go with Toyos for those, and they've been great thus far. I have the Fittipaldi wheels. Fittipaldi has been nothing but great to me. Fixed me up over the summertime. I had went to a -18 offset wheel so I could get rid of the spacers. I've always been against spacers. Anybody listening to this, don't do spacers. I'm so against it, especially if you wheel. It's just not worth the risk. And so they took care of me over the summer last year, and then heard about this build and hopped in on this. So I went down to a -12 offset on these. I was able to get that beefier look because I went from a 20-inch rim down to a 20, or down to a 17. Have all that, and then obviously the entire look of the Baddie Mobile changed entirely. What I would refer to as like the bubble gum pink, if you will, that kind of went by the wayside. There was a custom color through Tamco that was made, and it's like an iridescent pink. I call it the Baddie Mobile pink. Ernie calls it something else. I don't remember what he calls it, but I'm coining it the Baddie Mobile thing. It's so pretty, but I kind of flip-flopped my inner fenders, my combat off-road fenders, and I did match the body paint to the high velocity yellow and put the pink behind it. And then I put a new stubby front bumper on. So I had a stubby one previously, but I wanted something that was a little bit more beefier. So I went with a rugged ridge front bumper, and then we color matched it to the mile marker winch that I have. So it's one big pink front face on my Jeep. And then I upgraded. So I've always had XK Glow. XK Glow is done nothing but good by me. They're amazing to work with. We changed out all of my chrome lights to their XK Max lights front to back. So those are super fun to have. And then trying to think what else. Oh, my rear bumper we painted. We made it the pink. I'm probably missing a lot, but as far as like the build itself, that's just kind of like what I'm working with now. Like my aftermarket accessories or my recovery gear, Moose Knuckle Off Road, again, another company I just love working with. I cannot stress their shackles enough, especially if you are an avid off-roader or a wheeler and you need to get hooked up to a winch and to a rope or a line quickly. You just split those suckers open, put it in, and you close up and you're on your way. You're not sitting there, finicking with the stupid screw and then pulling it through. I love Moose Knuckle. I was in their booth last year. They've always been good to me, but I redid all of my decals too. I was sad to get rid of the Bad and Bougie logo on the front. because that's kind of like my trademark. That's my thing. But LB Design Works, they've done a lot of people's Jeeps out here. He did very clean lines from the front to the rear for me. And he put like little subtle, like my mouth that I have, he put little subtle ones in different places for people to still, catch on that like, this is my Jeep, this is my build. And then I replaced it with the Wrangler logo again on the hood, but then he took my Bad and Bougie logo and put it like inside. It's really cool because he is super creative. He can really just take, your ideas and just run with it. Because I loved my decals before. It was time for a change. And so I put this big black hood decal on. I was kind of always like, I don't know how I like hood decals, but with that bright yellow and in the Florida sun, it's bright. And so it's kind of like blinding to say the least, but putting that black decal on, but then he took my lips or like that mouth and he embossed it all over the hood of this black decal. So like, to the eye, it looks like a plain black hood or like, decal. But then if you get up close and you look at it in different ways of the sun, you can see my little snarky little looking mouth on there. So it still has like subtle cues of like the Bad and Bougie. This, my
Yes.
mouth, my famous
I love
mouth.
it.
Yes.
It's my logo. So yeah, he was able to kind of incorporate that in and still make it unique in that sense. And from an interior perspective, I didn't do too much. PRP has always been great to me as well. They took care of me. I have my pink interior, which is always an attracting piece for people. That's usually what gets people coming up to my Jeep, especially if I have my doors off or my doors open. So that rebuild project was a lot of fun to do because now I was really capable on the trails, but I tell you what, that Steer Smart and my Terraflex just takes the cake. I mean, that is the best combo I think I've ever had. Even the dealership said today, they're like, holy crap, your Jeep drives like the best that I've ever driven before. And I'm like, I know I think the speed limiter is like 94 on a Wrangler, unless you have like a no limits thing on it. And I can cruise 94, no shake, wobble, vibration, nothing. So anybody looking for a good combination in a cookbook, Steer Smarts and Terraflex are chef's kiss. I cannot complain at all whatsoever. Oh, and Rough Country. Rough Country did my e-boards on the electric drop steps, which are absolutely amazing. If I did not have those, I would not be able to get into my Jeep. My children and my Nana is very appreciative of those. Those steps are a lifesaver. Rough Country came in clutch with those, and we painted the Baddie Mobile pink, and it looks so good. I love them. They're just like a nice little finishing touch. I mean, they're just steps, but they're really cool. They're just a really good accessory.
Yeah, I didn't know they made those steps until I saw them on your Jeep.
Mm-hmm.
And so good.
Ernie sells a ton of them. He puts them on all builds. They're super affordable and they're great quality. Like I can wheel with them and you can turn them on and off. So like if I'm wheeling and I don't want them to drop down when I open my door, I can turn it off. So you don't have to have them drop down all the time. And when I open it, they have lights. So that way you can see where you're stepping down onto as well. So me, I'll slip and fall and have to call JG Wentworth for my money now because I will be on the floor and dying like in 2 seconds. But yeah, those are cool. Great. I love that feature.
That's awesome.
And then so the next build that's done is the Burnout Baddie. That is like pretty much custom fabrication from front to the back. We took a 1976 Jeep CJ, which caused a lot of commotion, because it's a vintage vehicle and it was in immaculate condition. And we took it and we turned it into a burnout Jeep. And people are like, why the hell would you do that? Like, why would you do that? It's like, well, why not? I mean, it's just sitting there. So it actually used to belong to Chicago Botanical Garden. And it was a plow truck or a little plow Jeep, and it would plow the snow from the sidewalks. But otherwise, it was just sitting there. It was a one owner. They never used it for anything else. And we came across the body, and Ernie called me. He goes, "I have a chassis," and I'm like, "God dang it! Now I have another project," and I'm like, now I'm in it. Like now I'm dedicated. We're doing it. Like that's it. We're not talking about it any longer. We're doing it. So. That particular build is, we did an LS swap in it. So we took the original engine out and we took an LS1 motor and did a LS swap in it with a turbo 350. So it's not an original motor. It's not a Mopar motor, but it is loud and it is fast and it is so amazing. It sounds so good. The motor's so strong. And so it looks like its own little personal Hot Wheel car. And that's kind of like what I've been coining it as, is my own little personal Barbie Hot Wheel car.
That's
Because
awesome.
what we did is we took the engine and we shoved it as far back as we possibly could towards the cab of the vehicle, because we wanted it to sit back a little bit closer, because you want as much of a center of gravity sitting to the ground, especially when you do burnouts and you're spinning. You want to be able to stay level. And obviously with Jeeps, we tend to lift them, but we want this one to be, as solid to the ground as possible. So we put the anchor and the holding for the engine towards the back of the vehicle, and then we were able to chop the frame a little bit and to make it shorter. So as a really, really short, like a little car, like a little, like a Hot Wheel car. And then we did a custom 2-link Mustang front suspension in the front with a parallel custom 4-link suspension in the rear, which you can't, when you're building something like this, you can't just go out and buy something that's already existing on the market. Like, you have to find and fit your pieces like a puzzle. And then you just kind of like a Lego, really, and seeing what fits and what works and what doesn't. And, for what we wanted it for, that's what we came up for the suspension. Shout out to Casey Curry and Curry Enterprises. We have a Curry rear axle. He was the first person I told this build about when I first came in my head. If anybody remembers Jeep Beach of 2024, he had his drift Jeep there with Monster Energy at that glow party, if you guys can remember. He was doing burnouts and doing drifts in the pit there. And so when I came up with this idea to build a burnout Jeep, he was the very first person I told. So I would have been remiss if I didn't get a Curry axle for the rear. And I already told him, and if he listens to this podcast, like my Jeep Beach, he will be signing my axle. So if you're listening, you're going to sign it. We did his axle in the back. Revolution, of course, supported us again in this build. With our gears and everything. Cosmo Tire is my 2025 tire sponsor, and will probably be forever and ever. They came in hot with their Mucho Macho tires, not the big mud kickers like I run, but they're great to burn out. I posted a picture today on Tire Tuesday. I have wires showing. I popped those suckers like it's nobody's business. Detroit Steel Wheel came in really hot with their D-Town smoothies. So again, we needed a heavy wheel because you want to be grounded as much as possible. So we got their D-Town smoothies. They gave us 10 of them. So that way I could have 2 front wheels at all times, obviously, but then I could have 8 rotating wheels and tires at all times. So I'm always ready with wheels and tires at any event that we go to. And we painted those hot pink. And then Seymour Paint. So a lot of people know Seymour. They were the official paint sponsor of King of the Hammers this year. They are known for their aerosol cans of paint. So we aerosol sprayed the entire Jeep. And it's fun because people are like, spray can? Like, how cheap? Like, why would you do that? And again, why wouldn't you? Seymour Paint makes such a great spray can. I highly recommend it. They have a lot of different products, especially for like if you're doing your underbody coatings or your frames, etc. Mischief Maker uses them. Off-Road and Chill has been using them. Seymour Paints is awesome. So when we told them about this, they're like, "Oh, we're coming." So Ernie got this massive paint booth, this blow-up paint booth that looks like a bounce house, and it fit inside of his shop. He has a huge shop. It looked absolutely ridiculous, but everybody's in there with their face masks and we're spraying the Jeep down with some spray cans. It's a fun project for everybody to be a part of and to just get their hands on, because this was a first ever of its kind. Nobody has ever done this before. And so this is to have some industry leaders from that perspective, like, buy in on this silly idea of mine. It's kind of like a pinch me moment, because when PRP, when I was telling Kyla, which you guys are going to be talking to from Go Fast Girls, she actually works for PRP Seats, and I had my famous seats done by PRP, and she worked with me through that entire bit of it. But those seats got so much attention at the factory, and she would text me every bit of the way. She goes, the number of people that keep stopping and asking whose seats are these is absolutely ridiculous, because you would see all these black, all these brown, like all these neutral colors. And then you see Brooke with the Baddie or the Burnout Baddie logo and these bright and orange pink colors. I'm like, yep, that's me. Gotta make sure it matches. But PRP was our seats. And then we got the Shreddy harnesses. So you see my checkered harnesses. And then we got a Shreddy steering wheel from PRP as well. Blake Wilkie has the Shreddy designs. And then XK Glow. So we didn't have the opportunity to put any of the lights on because we built this Jeep in 30 days. Actually, it was like 28 days from the time we started the video and tearing it apart to actually arriving at Mopar Heaven.
Wow.
And so that was a challenge for us as a team to see what we could do. And it was really hard, being in Florida. Everybody kind of saw me going back and forth between Florida and Chicago, trying to, mitigate and work on the build and give ideas and give input, because anybody that knows me, I want to be hands-on with it as much as I possibly can. I love being a part of my build. And that's what I grew up doing, was, building and working on vehicles with my grandmother and my dad. So it was a 28-day build that we got that finished. We didn't have a chance to put lights on, but XK Glow is doing some lights. We're going to do interior rock lights and underbody rock lights as well. So that way, when we do night events and we turn the lights on and we have that smoke, it's really going to illuminate. And then trying to think, what else am I missing? And then Evil Energy, they are a performance parts company. They supplied us with our fuel cell for the fuel tank. So they heard about our build. They're like, hey, can we get on this? And we're like, well, we need a fuel cell, so let's do it. So we actually buy a lot of parts for them for a number of different builds with Ernie's shop. So when they had reached out to us, like, heck yeah. Like, obviously, this is creating enough good and bad publicity, because, again, there's always going to be haters out there that are like, why would you do this? You're ruining a perfectly vintage vehicle. But it's so fun. Oh, my God. And man, being able to drive that vehicle, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit, it was just, I had tears. This has been so much fun, and my stupid, crazy ideas that are coming to life. But that vehicle right now, it went back up to Illinois. We had some work we had to do. Going to actually strip the entire thing and repaint it. Ernie wants to hand paint all of the flames. And so we're going to make it as pretty as we possibly can. Now that we're kind of starting to work the kinks out, because Mopar Heaven for us was the big reveal. That was kind of my thing this year as this year's special guest. And we did it. We showed, we brought the vehicle, but it was kind of like a tester for us. We had parts break. We did have a difficult time, and we'll get into more of that later, but it was just fun to build in a short period of time to kind of challenge us. And then the last one for right now is under the knife as we speak. So a 2001 TJ that is going to be the Beach Baddie. I was super excited because TJs are really known for having rust to the frame. And I found an immaculate one for like $5,000 down in Sebring, Florida, which is just a couple hours south of here. And it was in really, 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 really good condition. But I have a full sponsorship from Rough Country. I've told Rough Country about this. Rough Country they have really improved their products over the years significantly. I will be the first to raise my hand and say that I was a bad talker in the past about them. It wasn't until I actually really started using their products more as of late and seeing them being installed at Ernie's shop very regularly, because they're very cost-efficient products, but also very, very well built. And the Rough Country's customer service is second to none. They stand by their products, and they're great, because I see a lot of young people that really want to get into this industry, or they have a Jeep and or a Bronco or a truck and they want to lift it, but they don't have $15,000-$20,000 to do a complete steering and suspension rebuild. Like, that's not in their budget. And this is a very, very budget friendly, but very good quality products. When I was telling them about this build, they're like, oh my God, yes, we would love to be a part of this. So they're doing all of my suspension, all of my steering. They did my cold air intakes. I think we did the front bumper with them and the rear bumper. I'm keeping it very clean. So this is going to be the Beach Baddie. It's not an off-roading vehicle. It is literally going to be a beach buggy. We're going to put a new hardtop on. That's obviously is going to be removable, but we're also building a custom roll cage as well. So in those, the old TJs, the speakers and the chest seat belts, they all like have like these divots in them. And we wanted a nice clean line for the frame. And so we decided, instead of like sitting there and fabricating and filling and trying to make the best out of the metal as we could, we decided to chop it, and we're just building a custom cage. And then I'm not going to mention it on here because it's a total secret, and everybody can see it at Jeep Beach. And so this Beach Baddie is actually going to be in Cosmo Tire's booth, but we're doing something that has never, ever, ever been done before. And I am so excited.
I want to hear. I'm excited to hear.
Yes, me too.
It's never been done before. My goal with this vehicle, so I know the Bronco and the Jeep community likes to hate on each other, but for me, I love the vintage Broncos. I love them so much. Like, they are such an immaculate, clean build. And that's kind of like where my ideas stemmed from, and like the aesthetic that I was going for. So people probably remember my vision board that I created for the Burnout Baddie. I'm creating one for the Beach Baddie as well. And I might as well say it. So everybody probably assumes that it's going to be pink. It's not going to be pink. It's not pink. And it was very hard for me not to pick pink. But I'm actually doing an iridescent lavender. And it's super sparkly. It's from Tamco Paint. But it's a nice bright color that may not be like bright to the eye, but like it's not white. It's not black.
Pretty.
It's not a neutral color. And then, so we're going to paint not only the exterior, but the interior of the body and the entire tub. That's already rhino lined. We're going to clean it up with Seymour's paint a little bit, but the inside is going to be the lavender on the dash and then white as well. So then my seats are at an upholster right now. And I have this alligator Italian leather that is lavender, has like different sparkles and like mixtures of like hues of lavender and purple in it. And so we're going to do like a marine white with the alligator skin.
Wow.
So
Sounds really
nice.
interesting.
It's going to be different. It's definitely
it.
going to be different. It's going to be very subtle. This build is going to be one like this time of year, like in Florida, everybody has their doors off. It's dry season. It's not too hot. It's not raining. It doesn't rain until like July. So like this is going to be like the perfect time to take it out. And I want it simple. Like I want it simple, but like there's going to be little things here and there that are like, that is so Brooke.
Right.
Like all the way down to the exhaust, to the steering wheel, to the mirrors. And that's why I like working with Ernie so much on these projects, is because our design aesthetic is very, very similar. And like he has several Lincolns, old school Lincolns, that I'm just like, I love these old vintage vehicles that just have so much character and they have such a story to tell. And everybody keeps telling me, like, I can't wait to see the TJ. I'm more excited for the TJ than I was the Burnout Baddie, because this vehicle, it's not going to look anything like what it is now. And so we're going to be putting mud kickers on those, but temporarily, because Cosmo Tire is actually coming out with a new all-terrain tire called the Grip It. Those should be available in the June timeframe. We were hoping to have them for Jeep Beach, but the manufacturer kind of pushed it back a little bit. So once those tires do come in stock, I'll be switching those out. And then Fittipaldi, they got me hooked up with the wheels. We're doing like a really, I want to say modern / vintage. So like all of their wheels are pretty modern for the most part, but we're going to powder coat those white and then do the purple rim on the outside to match the body color too. So I have these visions in my head, and I think the Burnout Baddie and my little vision board like really like came to life. And I'm going to try, like when I build some content, I'm going to show like the pictures that I drew and then like show what the real life outcome of it was, because that's so much fun, is like drawing on paper and then seeing it come to life.
That's
and
awesome.
I think that's what's most fun about this stuff, is You can do anything you want with these.
Yes, I love that.
Like you can be whoever you want. You don't have, you could be a pavement princess, and I see some of the most ridiculous things, but like that's you.
Yeah,
And
it's
like
what you want. Yeah.
it's what you want. It makes you happy. And who am I to judge, right? Like, and I'm just gonna put this out there. If anybody has a JK chassis that they're trying to sell, hit me up because
You're looking for it. So
that's gonna be the next build I'm gonna
That's
do.
awesome.
I want to do like an actual like serious rock crawler, and then I'll have my
Wow.
TJ, my JK, my JL, and then the CJ. Obviously, Ernie has the YJ, so I'm already just saying that's fine too. So whatever. There's
Nice.
a lot of Jeeps, but I got a lot of shop space in here, so why not, right?
That's awesome.
No.
Oh, girl,
Okay. It's like,
no. I
maybe you get a
honestly,
discount.
I wish. Oh my gosh, I've never been in an accident. I've never been pulled over. And just with our Suburban and it even says good safe driver on my driver's license. Our insurance for my JL and our Suburban is $800 a month.
Wow.
We won't even talk about it. We have 5, and
So
we'll
every
just
time I
keep
call, I just
going.
don't even look. You're like your new premium. I'm like, don't tell me. I don't care.
The insurance for the Gladiator alone, just for the Gladiator, is like just $250, well, almost $300. So
Isn't
it's
that crazy?
just the Gladiator here in Washington. I'm not sure.
I think a lot of it too, like, so where I live in Hillsborough County is like one of the highest accident records in the entire country. And Florida's state limits. So, like I said, my boys and their father were in an accident on Friday. The minimum coverage is only $10,000. And guess what the vehicle behind them that hit them had? $10,000. And it pushed him into 2 other vehicles in front of them.
Oh, no.
And so we have to split it with the other 2 vehicles that were also hit that we got pushed into. Yeah.
Wow.
But they told me my insurance wasn't going to go up. I don't believe them. So.
Yeah. Believe it when you see it.
Prepping.
So
But,
what
yeah,
advice would you give to someone looking to start their own build?
ask all the questions. I think this refers back to what I was saying earlier. You don't have to have all the money in the world. You really don't. When I took apart the Baddie Mobile, I sold my Mopar lift kit to somebody here locally. Now it was very new, but like what's old is new to somebody else, right? So marketplace can definitely be your friend. And that's one other thing I was just thinking about. I have Bilstein shocks on my Baddie Mobile, which makes a huge difference if anybody wants to know. But anyway, you don't have to go out and buy brand new. If you know where you're buying, if it's from somebody reputable that is trustworthy, why not? Especially if you're working closely with a shop that is very professional and really knows how to build. You don't have to have all the money in the world. You do need to be cognizant about what you're buying, though. And that's why I always refer back to asking those questions, because it's easy to make mistakes. A lot of people, when they buy a Jeep and the first thing they want to do is like, oh my God, what am I going to... Bigger tires, bigger wheels. Like, that's what we're doing. Or, bead locks. We're getting bead locks. We're putting new bumpers. And all that stuff adds up. All of that weight adds up. You put steel bumper in the front, in the back, a roof rack, etc. That is a lot of added weight to that vehicle that you didn't have before, and now the performance is going down. Next thing you know, your gears are slipping. You got a pinion destroying your gears, and it's like something you didn't immediately think about because maybe nobody told you. So you don't have to have all the money in the world, but to ask all the questions you need to make sure you're doing right by yourself and your Jeep, because the last thing you want at the end of the day, and I think we can attest to this in this industry, is putting incorrect parts or having them installed incorrectly. Can be very, very dangerous. And it's very important that you work with a reputable shop if you're not doing the work yourself, and a shop that's not just out there to take your money. I'm a part of a lot of Facebook groups, like many of us are. And you would like to think and hope that they're safe places to ask questions. And sometimes they are, but then sometimes you get a lot of men in there that like to question us women, like as if we're dumb and we're stupid and we don't know what we're talking about. And maybe I ask stupid questions. I don't know. But one thing that, so I was a guest speaker at Ladies of Mopar this past weekend. And, what may be a stupid question to you isn't necessarily a stupid question to the person to the left or to the right of me or the 5 other women standing behind me. So they may be wondering the same thing or curious about the same thing, or maybe wasn't thinking about asking that question. That was like, oh, shoot, I didn't think about that. And now they know. You never know who you may be asking questions for that is too nervous or scared or just a little bit hesitant and maybe is new to the industry. I definitely don't know everything. I know a lot, but I don't know everything. And it's one of those things where, especially as women, we feel very reserved to not want to ask questions. And again, I think it's really important that you just get your ducks in a row. What is important to you with your build? Is it getting new wheels and tires? Okay, well, you're on a stock suspension. What realistic and tires can you do with a stock suspension? Okay, you're getting a lift too. Okay, well, you're going up to 2.5-inch lift. You could probably get away with 37s. Okay, well, what kind of tire are we looking at? And it's all progressive and it all builds off of each other. But I see people get carried away very quickly. And then it's just one problem after the other, after the other, after the other. And then it's like trying to chase down where they messed up or where the problem lies. And you don't have to build all at once. I mean, for me, once we rebuilt this, I'm like, damn, now what? And I got damn 2 more Jeeps to work on. That's what happened. So it's a rabbit hole. It's a trap is what it is. You don't have to build a Jeep overnight. Take your time. Products change. Products evolve. They get better. Start with wheels and tires. Get the new name tag from vinyl and, make it pretty and make it you. Name your Jeep. Have fun with it. And slowly build. You don't have to do everything all at once because what's the fun in that?
Right.
I see a lot of people, they like to buy their Jeeps already built. No shame there, like by all means. But if this is an industry that you're wanting to do a build, not buy, take your time. There's no rush. What are you rushing for? There's no silly to rush. That's the fun in it.
Let's get into Mopar Heaven. We saw the photos. Looked like you had a great time. So what was the vibe like?
Oh my gosh. So for me, it was normal, right? Because for me, I don't just attend Jeep events. I attend a lot of different car shows, a lot of different car events, whether it's German engineering, Japanese engineering, and in this particular case, Mopar engineering, which is American engineering. And seeing all of modern day builds of Dodge Chargers and Challengers and, those SRTs and the RTs and just hearing that Hellcat whine, as we call it, hearing that engine is just, I tell you what, as Jeep builders, we see some crazy stuff, right? Like people do some crazy wraps and crazy themes, but holy cow, like, I've seen builds like this before, so I wasn't like taken back by it, but just the attention to detail and the pride in these vehicles. There was probably about 10,000 people there. It's at Texas Motor Speedway. It starts off Friday with something called Mopar Ignited. So it's on a 5-story garage. So every single floor is filled with Mopars. And for those that may only be into Jeeps or, particular floors, Mopars are anything considered from the Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram design branding, if you will. So those are all Mopars. Jeep is a Mopar. A lot of people tend to think like, oh, Mopars are Dodges or the Dodge builds. They often forget that it is any CDJR brand. And so that floor from the bottom up is nothing but different types of builds. The Baddie Mobile, both of my builds were supposed to be there, the Burnout Baddie and the Baddie Mobile, but we had some work that we needed to do last minute and some adjustments that we needed to do for the actual Mopar Heaven event at Texas Motor Speedway the next day. So I just opted to take the Baddie Mobile. And when I tell you, I barely fit in the garage, like my brother, like I had to close my top and like I'm scraping along. I'm like, these signs are a lie. I'm like, there is no way that this is 7 foot whatever. Like I could barely fit in. I'm shocked that I made it. But it's really cool because they had a flame competition. So, the backfire, from the exhaust, people have flames that come out. They have like a 2-step competition, which is, the engines and, all the loud noises and, hearing the limiters reached on those builds. It's super cool. So cool. The lights, holy cow. I thought Jeep people liked lights, the Dodge Chargers and the Challengers that have the lights inside and out. I haven't posted too many videos, but I think Kayla has from that particular night. And there you could just see it was like a light show. There's light competition competitions too. So, people got to be able to show off, their builds to that capacity. And then they have the Ladies of Mopar, which is a club. It started off as a Facebook group. Sincita, her husband, and her actually founded Mopar Heaven and started that 9 years ago. So next year will be their 10-year anniversary. But she started Ladies of Mopar in response to when she had breast cancer. And she found that as a way to connect with the community and really empower women that were in the automotive industry, but obviously more specifically in the Mopar industry. And I was a special guest there on Friday night for Ladies of Mopar. And I was able to address all of the women that were in attendance. And it was so fun because I got them all riled up because everybody knows me. I have zero filter. I cuss. I keep it 100. I am very blunt. And I think that's what we need. And I think it's we should promote that that's okay. You can be who you are and who you want to be. And it was fun because they had gift bags to like the first 100 women and a couple of my sponsors, so Cosmo Tires and Moose Knuckle. They actually built goodie bags for me to give in addition to the 100 bags that we were already giving away. So we gave everything away. So it was really cool because having women come up to me, they're like, I've been following you, or, you inspire me, and you're such an inspiration. And, we've loved watching you. And it's very humbling and it's very meaningful to me because, I don't do this just for myself. If I can encourage other women to want to do what I'm doing, and by that, I mean, be themselves, be a better version of themselves, become a little bit more educated in cars in the automotive industry, putting themselves out there, becoming more extroverted, then I can check my box at the end of the day and say that I filled my cup. Because that's what I want at the end of the day, is to be able to, excuse my French, but fuck the gates, right? There's no reason for us to be gatekeeping. We should all want to be opening those gates wide open and sharing our experiences, sharing what our builds are, and talking about the amazing products and companies that sponsor us and seeing other women succeed. That's what we should want. And that's all that I want. And if you have a problem with that, you need to do some serious, serious, serious soul searching, because we are always and always have been and always will be the underdog. And if we're not there to cheer each other on, and we're not there being girls, what justice are we serving? We have, if we, like us women here, we have a platform. We should use it, and we should use it to want to do better. We should use it to want to bring awareness and continuing to pull other women up that may have not had the opportunity to step a ledge on that platform, and give them that opportunity. Because at the end of the day, women being happy is just, that's all I want. This is fun. It's so cool. It is so cool seeing so many women involved in men's sports and power sports and athletics, and proving themselves that we can do these things just as good as men, if not better. And again, us three women, we've had the opportunity to work with some big names. We have Renegade that heavily supports us as not only that small business, but, being, Rami, he is so supportive of all of us women that work closely with him. And it's very admirable. And if I could influence every other man to be like Rami, I feel like this world would be a better place. 100%.
Yeah.
Completely agree. And that's kind of why we were doing the podcast, just, to bring all these stories to life, and to share. So I love that.
Absolutely.
So something fun, just to kind of end us before we close it out, a couple of questions. And I'm calling it Bad and Bougie Fast Track. Full send, no filter.
Ooh, I know that's me, so let's go. Let's do it.
If your Jeep had a warning label, what would it say?
Oh my God. What wouldn't it say? Bad attitude. A lot of people are afraid of me. And sometimes, I don't know how to take that. Sometimes I'm like, oh, that's a good thing. I'll walk around with my AirPods in because I don't want people to talk to me. I usually look like I have an RBF. I think I posted a picture recently of my professional career. And usually when I'm on a panel or I'm at Congress or I'm on Capitol Hill talking or speaking or listening, I have this very stern look on my face. and it's very intimidating. I would probably say bad attitude because
like it.
while I do have a good attitude, I may give off the vibe that like I am very, I mean business.
I like your
mean
vibe.
business,
You have
but
a
I
good
have a good
vibe.
time. Thank you.
Okay, this one's easy. Heels, sneakers, or hiking boots? Pick one.
Okay, well, not hiking boots. Nobody gonna catch me hiking anywhere anytime soon. Let's just clear that up right now. So I'm not gonna okay, but I totally take that back. I lived in Washington, and so I hiked Mount Rainier plenty of times, but within reason. I'm not out there like Lily getting like 10 miles or 30 miles and like it's dark out and I'm like, oh my god, this bitch better be alive by the end of the day. I gotta check in on her.
Girl, just wanted you to know it was no because I wanted you to be there. Okay, I'm a beach girl. I'm not a mountain girl. I've never been. I'm afraid to heights. I'm out there because I'm working. I'm against my will. I'm not from the snow or the cold. Just to be clear.
You held up like a champ, though. I will say that. I'm like, look at her go, doing it for all of us. I'm like, if it ain't me, it's gonna be her.
Thanks.
Let's see, heels or sneakers? Well, everybody knows I'm a sneakerhead. That's kind of like how I've been like releasing my vehicle colors as of late, has been my sneakers. That's always been my thing. I have a matching high tops. But I tell you what, you will see me at events and I will be in high heels. So I can't say one or the other, to be honest with you. It just depends. Sometimes, so 90% of the time, if you go into the back of my Jeep right now, I have a pair of Panda Dunks, so my black and white Dunks, always. And then I always have a pair of neutral color heels, always. So I'm prepared.
Love it. Yeah,
Always
that's
prepared.
good. I knew that was a question for you. All right, last question before we close. Who is one woman in the community that completely inspires you?
Lacey Blair.
Good choice.
I love her
Same.
so much. She is a bad bitch and I fucking love it. Again, excuse my French, but she is so wholesome and she is a jack of all trades. And I think for me, I think that was a lot of inspiration behind why I told myself that if you want to do it, just do it. There's no reason why you can't. Sure, somebody else may be building a burnout car and doing cool stuff, or sure, you could take your vehicle over here to get powder coated, or she makes, like, that girl looks 100% all the time. Like, she is so gorgeous. And if she's ever having a bad day, you would never know. You would never know. And I remember, it's funny because I told Casey, like I said, was talking about earlier, Casey Curry was like the first person I told about my burnout Jeep. She was like the second person. And I messaged her and I said, so I'm building a burnout Jeep. I'm probably going to have a million questions. I said I wanted to be the first ever, first of its kind, never been done before. And she's like, oh my God, yes, like another woman doing this. She's like, and I told her about Mopar Heaven. She's like, come down here anytime. My garage is your garage. And I'm like, another renegade girly.
Yes.
Another burnout drift girly. Another girl that can build vehicles. Another girl that can put a full face of makeup on and have her hair pretty and still get dirty. I love that. And then what I also love is that, you know, her love that her and her fiance, Zach, share, that can be felt across the internet. You know, there's a few of us, a lot of people, you know I'm going through a divorce, but me and my ex we're very, very amicable. We were raising children together, and that's what's number one to us. And you know, there's a few of us in this space that have kind of been going through the same patches and, you know, living our single lives and being single women. And we're like, that's what we want. If we could all be so proud of our relationships and our marriages and with our spouses and find that balance and that support. Do I know them super, super personally? No. But what you see in person and Instagram is so reassuring that everybody has their person out there. And it's just, it can be appreciated by another woman because you can tell she doesn't take it for granted. And obviously, you know, with her working with Renegade with us too, is, you know, it's just super humbling. And so she was a big reason between, or, you know, the reason why I wanted to do the burnout Jeep, because I'm like, she is having so much fun. I'm always one person's like, that likes to say, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Like, pick something, do something. Like, you can't do both. She shows that you can do both.
Yeah.
And that's this stuff is how I want to perceive that. In fact, you can have your cake and eat it too. I can have a professional corporate career, and I can go and put on a race suit, sweat my ass off, and have windburn and, rubber in my hair. And, I can do that, and it's okay. And why not? Exactly. So I 100% Lacey Blair. And I hope that as she listens to this, it's not just me. There's little girls everywhere that appreciate her for being her. And I think a lot of us can attest to that.
Yes.
She's just a good, wholesome
100%.
girl. And I think that speaks volumes, especially with like LB Motorsports.
Before we close, I do have another question. This is a personal question because I heard the last time you were doing a podcast, I heard that you mentioned that you used to be a cop. So I really wanted to know about that part of your life because it sounds like you've been doing a lot of things. So I was like, wow.
Yeah. So, my undergraduate degree is in criminal justice.
Wow.
And so, when I first graduated with my bachelor's degree, I went in and I was a cop. Like that was just my natural response is, I'm going to go get a 4-year degree and then I'm going to go into civil service and be a law enforcement officer. I was on the streets for about 1.5 years. And then I started working on my master's degree in justice administration. I got moved to the desk. And again, as we talked about earlier, I kind of have to be moving and doing all the things. And so desk wasn't my thing. And then I moved over to the Federal Bureau of Prisons where I focused on transition. And once I finished my master's degree, I went on to get my PhD. And my PhD is in criminal justice with a focus on cognitive behavioral therapy and transitional programmatic design. And so what that means is designing programs for, focusing on cognitive behavioral, therapeutic programming, creating opportunities for people that have gone from one dramatic medium to the next. So for instance, if you've been in prison for 20 years, you're institutionalized. You know when you're waking up, you know when you're going to bed, you know when you're going to eat, you know where you're going to go to, when you're allowed to watch TV, when you have particular curriculums, you're not paying bill. Like it's a very set regimen. You don't have outside influencers controlling your day to day. Well, fast forward, I moved over into the Department of Defense where I focused my efforts on transitioning service members and family members. So when a service member is getting out of the military and they are in fact institutionalized, they're regimented, they know when they're waking up, they know when they're going to bed, they know when they're going to work, they know when they're coming home, they know what they're going to wear every single day. A lot of that stress is put onto the spouse and their children and their families. So it's a holistic transition as a family, as a whole. And it's not even from a personal perspective, but a professional perspective as well. And so I helped those service members. And so that's what I do today. I moved from the Department of Defense and then now I work in military and government affairs for my corporate job, working on the more private level, but then I get to also influence and work closely with those 3-letter agencies and coming up with policies and advocation of military service members and their families and really providing a better lifestyle for them, not only while they're in the military, but the time thereafter, because the service doesn't stop just because their service stops. We have to continue giving back to that community. So, yeah.
I love it.
And now we're here.
It's been amazing having you here with us. And where can people follow you? Like, what are your socials?
Absolutely. So they can find me on Instagram, which is Bad in Bougie Jeep. So BADN and then Bougie Jeep. And then on TikTok, I'm Bad and Bougie Jeep as well. On Facebook, I'm Bad and Bougie Jeeps with an S. And then I actually created a YouTube channel recently. So I made a website. It's almost done. It looks absolutely amazing. And I can't wait to share it with everybody. That's going to be www.baddiegarage.com. And then my YouTube channel is Motorsports for Baddies.
That's awesome.
Yay. Yes, ma'am. No, this has been a pleasure. I always love talking to you guys and hanging out and doing all the things with you. And so when you guys asked me, I was really excited. And hopefully there's other women out there that, whether they're cleaning their house or working on their vehicle or they're on their way to work and they're listening to this, that they feel a little bit of ounce of inspiration, not just from me, but from you ladies as well, because it took a huge step to even just create the podcast and take the time because anybody could do it, but you guys did. So
well, we love having you here.
We appreciate that for sure.
No,
thank you, Baddie.
Thank you for joining us. It was inspirational to hear all about your builds and everything. So thank you so much. But next week we will have Go Fast Girls join us. And until next time, Keep those tires rolling and stay adventurous.
Bye. Bye.